Hello beautiful, welcome back to my channel and welcome to this Get Ready With Me. I am actually in such a good mood today and I'm going to be doing my makeup and I want to chat about something that I started thinking about, I want to say the last week, and I've been talking to some of my YouTube friends, some of my creator friends, and I've been starting to think, what am I gonna do when I don't do YouTube anymore? Because this isn't a forever career. This isn't something that I'm gonna be doing for the rest of my life. And even though I am a full-time YouTuber right now, what do I want to do afterwards? Because this could end tomorrow and I don't feel like I have a backup plan and I want to discuss it with you. And I'm gonna get ready. I have some new makeup, I have some old makeup, I have some stuff that I'm in the middle of reviewing, and we're just gonna do a fun look. I think I'm doing something green today. I'm actually gonna take my ring off because I am gonna be using a primer. This is the One Size Secure the Sweat. This is the mattifying primer that's supposed to be like anti-sweat primer. I haven't used it still because I bought this in the Sephora sale, but I also bought that primer from Milk Makeup and I didn't get around to trying this one. I think you're supposed to open it like this. Why do I feel like I'm using like a solve of some sort? And I have heard from people that were telling me about this primer. I'm just going to use a little bit of my T-zone because that's the place where I get like oily. That's a, let's go with fascinating smell. Why do I feel like I'm actually putting medication on? That smell is like, that's the kind of medication you get when you're dying. They're like, it's over and done with. We're not even gonna bother with the good smelling medication on you anymore because like you're about to pass anyways. I don't like to smell that. It's not a scent. It's not a perfume. It's just a very like medical scent. And I'm not like loving that situation. But I've heard from people that were telling me about this primer that apparently if you don't let it set, it is gonna pill. So I'm putting this on. I'm gonna wash my hands. Definitely washing my hands, not loving the smell, but I can't smell it on my face, so that it doesn't linger, at least that's something. And I'm gonna leave this on for like maybe 5 minutes and I'll come back, I'll zoom in a bit, we'll apply a full face of makeup, and I want to chat about the future and why all of a sudden I'm thinking about the future. I'm going to be using the Juvia's Place foundation. I've been talking about this, that I really like it. This is the, they call it a radiant foundation, I Am Magic Natural Radiance foundation. I think that this dries down to a non-transferable, pretty natural finish. I don't think that there's much radiance to this, but I like it. I mean, I have a combo skin and for me this works beautifully, and I bought it in the second shade. So this is Giza, which is a more neutral shade, and I bought this. I want to see, I might not be tan enough for this right now. I don't have any self tanner on right now because I've been trying to hang out by the pool a bit, but I wanted to buy a summer shade because the other one that I had was a perfect, like when I don't really have much of a tan or just a little bit, and I was hoping to get something, this is probably just a hint too dark for me now, but I was hoping to get something that I can wear during the summer because of how well this one holds up. It's not perfect. It's not perfect. It's still one shade too dark for me, but I do think that this is going to be a good summer shade for me. So try to ignore that this shade is just a hint too dark for my face right now. But know that I really love this foundation and I love it enough to buy it in the second shade. I will link all the things that I'm wearing down below in case you're interested, because I want to be talking about something else. I have been mentioning this before and I want to talk about it a little bit again. I'm going to use a lot of like lighter concealer today to make sure to counteract that this foundation is just a little bit too dark for me. So I've been talking about before that AdSense has been a little bit weird for creators lately. Not that like creators are like complaining that, oh my god, I don't make any money anymore, but AdSense has been really down for a lot of creators that I've been talking about, not because of the views, but because probably YouTube is getting less advertisers, which that's not much that we can do about. As a creator, I can't really do anything about the backside of YouTube. Like, I'm not out here finding advertisers. I'm not out here doing any of that. All I'm doing is trying to make content that people want to watch and get the views. And for a lot of YouTubers, me included, like the same amount of views have meant a significant decrease in AdSense this April compared to last year's April. I mean, you can never compare like an April to March. Well, you can a little bit, but like you can't compare January to December, and you can't compare June to an October because it's such difference like month to month on like how much you are going to be making, because advertisements, they go in a cycle throughout the year, and there's always going to be months that are better in advertisements and like worse in advertisements. Like more and less money are flowing through the system depending on where we are in the year, and that I can like adapt to, of course, but I try to not plan my content according to that. I try to plan my content more according to my own schedule and like what I would like to do and when I would like to work more and work less and all of that. But it's a constant balance. So when I compare my money, I always compare it to the year before, because that's the only way that I can like really see, because usually an April is an April is an April, because like I said, the economic cycles of marketing, they have their cycles, and it's usually pretty set what times of the year is the months where they're bringing in like the most money to the system versus the least money to the system. So if you compare a January of 2021 with a specific amount of views, the same amount of views the January the year before is going to give you approximately the same amount of money. And I will say my views have been pretty the same throughout the spectrum for quite some time. Actually, I've been pretty stable in my views. Sometimes I have more, sometimes I have it less, but I always circle around 500,000, 600,000 views, and I have approximately the same amount of view time throughout the month. Some months I upload less, like April, for example. I uploaded less because of me starting my own beauty brand at the end of April, and I knew that I was going to be a little busy with that, so I didn't want to overwhelm myself with like, that's the thing, like if you know you're going to be super busy, there's no point in taking on more work than you are going to be able to juggle, and then also getting, I was gonna say 8 hours of sleep, but at least like 6 hours of sleep if we're gonna be honest. So I knew that I was gonna upload less in April, but I had approximately, why am I not getting this open? I'm gonna use the Kosas bronzer. I had approximately the same amount of views this April that I had last year's April. And not that far from the amount of views that I had in March. And usually March and April are pretty similar in how much money you're making. Usually April is a good month. Usually April is a month when brands are starting to advertise like for spring, and the different sales are coming up, and you know how it is. So I was actually surprised to see what a dip AdSense took. Like it took a nosedive in April. Even though I had the same amount of views as I always do, the view time was the same, and it was just fascinating to see that like 10,000 views in April last year or 10,000 views in March of this year meant a whole different thing when it comes to AdSense. And this can only be explained by YouTube actually bringing in, I'm gonna put a little bit here so it matches my face. This could only be explained by YouTube bringing in less money. Like it's not me, it's probably YouTube, because like I'm doing my part. I am getting the views, and I pay my rent with AdSense. I know a lot of people see AdSense as like, oh, this is the cherry on top, this is like the tip. They think that AdSense is nothing, and it's only because they're making crazy money on affiliate links, and they're making crazy money on sponsored things. And if you've been on my channel for a while, you know that I actually don't do that much sponsored content. I do it like once or maybe twice a month, because I want to keep it at a minimal, because I like being able to be in charge myself, and I'm also very picky to what brands I want to work with. And maybe I shouldn't be, because AdSense is the way that it is now. But when I see AdSense go down like that, it immediately got me thinking, so what am I going to do when I can no longer pay my rent at AdSense? And it got me in this like whole spiral of actually feeling very motivated into like, because this is a thing that I haven't been thinking about for a really long time. What do I want to do? I'm gonna do my brows. What do I want to do when I'm no longer doing YouTube? Because like this is my job, this is my full-time job, and I love doing this. But also, even when you love your job, if you're not getting paid doing your job, bills are still due. And if you love your job and you're not getting paid doing your job, that means you have to do something else instead, because you still have to get paid somehow, because like I said, bills are due. I'm almost done with this one. I think it's like 1 or 2 uses left of this. Fascinating. So what do I want to do? And I have some thoughts. I'm gonna try this Pat McGrath lipstick on for the first time. I have something that's itching me here. That is a beautiful formula. It's a little bit more peach than I would go for. But with this like brown liner, it does turn out a little bit more like a color for me. Let me see if I can just marry these lines together. I'm also going to be using this Juvia's Place brush for the first time. If you are not watching my vlog channel, which you might not be because I haven't updated there in over a month, but I did put up a video. Well, when you're watching this, it's been up for a bit, but I put it up today as I'm filming this. And I filmed a really long vlog, and I did go to Ulta, and I bought this in Marigold, which is actually like a peach. So I think it's gonna go good with this lipstick. Basically, all the shades were sold out. I'm gonna mix it with this Goddess Glow from Makeup Revolution that I'm really enjoying. Basically, all the shades were like sold out, and I was like, ugh, that's a shame. And then I was like, you know what? Let me get a shade that I actually wouldn't get. And I like putting it. Is that too much? I feel like this is gonna be pigmented just from swatching it in the store. And I do 2 dots like that. And then I go in with my sponge. I'm gonna go with the side that's not the foundation side. And I'm just gonna blend these together. And yeah, that Juvia's Place one is very pigmented. I would say use less than this. So what do I want to do when I no longer do YouTube? Because am I ever gonna totally stop with YouTube? I don't know about that. I'm probably always gonna keep this around as long as the platform is here and as long as I'm interested in it. But there's a big difference between uploading 4 to 5 times a week and just uploading a video every here and there when you want to update people. Like, I, for the longest time, used to upload so many videos, even though this wasn't my full-time job. But I can tell you right now, if I ever were to get another job than this, I would not be able to upload like that again, because that was very time-consuming, and I have been enjoying, as of late, the time freedom that has come with not having to work 24/7. I don't want to work every weekend. I don't want to work every night. I'm almost 40. I'm almost 40. Like, I don't want to work like that anymore. I am not part of the American hustle culture. I'm European. I don't live to work. I work to live. And I really want to make sure that I am sticking to that if I ever decide. That is really pretty. If I ever decide to do something else as a full-time job, as like the one, you know, that's paying the rent instead of YouTube, I want to make sure, I'm just gonna blend the edges with some powder, that I don't let YouTube take over my entire free time again. So if YouTube cannot pay my rent, something else is gonna have to pay my rent. And I've said for a really long time that I would love to go back to school, but I don't think I want to go back to school in the US, even though technically there are definitely places in the US where I can get my education for free because of being Swedish. There are places that I could go that I could get a free education because higher education is free in Sweden, but I don't get to pick and choose just super freely. Oh my god, this one is almost out. I'm just trying to use the very last of it. So there is very limiting of like the places that I could go, and like it has to be like an education that's like not available in Sweden, if you understand. Like, it's not like, oh, you can just go anywhere and get a free education. No, it has to be like something that actually makes sense. And I know this because back in the days when I was very much into geoscience, there is this program in Arizona. I don't know if it exists anymore because this is literally more than 10 years ago that I looked this up. That is environmental geology. And I was so interested in reading that one. And I looked up a lot of things about it. And that one I could have done for free at the time in the US. and the Swedish government would have paid the tuition. But yeah, I didn't, of course, do it, but I know that like I did look into those kind of stuff back in the days. And I do think that if I were to go back to school today, it would be, first of all, in Europe. If not in Sweden, then at least in Europe, because there are more options for me and it would end up costing me less money. And it's also easier to add that credit to my already existing degree. I have a degree in environmental sciences. It would be easier to add that if I were to do it in Europe than if I were to do it in the US, because the systems are a little bit different. But I'm very interested in seeing like the backside of the thing that I'm doing now. So part of me would love to get into marketing just because I'm so intrigued by it. And I'm also like, some people are already probably, I'm going to be doing another look with the Legends of Korra because I think this palette looks beautiful. I will swiftly put up some swatches of this palette in case you're interested in seeing, if you haven't seen my video where I'm talking about this one, because I do have a video where I'm talking about like keeping up with Colourpop. If you're interested in that, there's a video about that. But I'm gonna do something green today. I'm gonna do green and yellow because I love that. Or am I gonna do fully green? No, I'm gonna do green and yellow because I love yellow. So I'm gonna be using my Cinch brushes. I'm gonna be doing the EO3. Cinch is my brand. And you're probably getting through this video and you're like, what about Cinch then? So Cinch is my own brand that I have been planning and plotting and being in the startup phases for such a long time, but I did launch it this year in end of March. And of course, like Cinch could maybe with time end up being a full-time income if I really devote even more time to it, if I like develop a lot more products than I have so far. So far, I have only developed this brush set. It is available right now on my site unless it is sold out. And I am in the process, without giving out too many corporate secrets, I am in the process of developing my upcoming 2 releases. So I'm definitely having more things coming out. And the fact that I did have such a successful first launch, which I did, I had a very successful first launch. And because of that, I am of course able to release more things and put that money into future releases. And I think that is the thing for me, at least with like starting my own brand. I'm not doing this so that I can get like a quick buck. I'm doing this because I have been dreaming about like what can I contribute to this space and wanting to be part of the indie community as an owner as well, and just develop fun things, honestly. So this isn't me. With that being said, I am yet to take out any money for me from the business. I invested a big chunk of my personal money to this business when I developed this brush set, and like the website and like domains and packaging material and all of that cost a lot of money. So I did of course invest quite a big chunk of money into Cinch Beauty when we started, but I am yet to take any money out of the business. And I am not planning to either at this point. I would like to see where this business takes me, but as of now, Cinch is not a project that I am getting some money out of myself. So AdSense is still paying the bills, but maybe in the future, Cinch will. Maybe I'm able to not just reinvest all the money back into future things and actually, you know, get a paycheck from the brand myself. Because right now I just want to reinvest the money and just have a lot of fun with, you know, future releases and like getting better things as well. Like getting the things that you already have to be like even better, both in like presentation and expanding ranges and all of that. So yeah, I'm just very excited to where that can bring me. And even if I were to stop doing YouTube or stop doing social media, because, or not stop, but I should rephrase that, stop doing it full time because I need to pay my rent doing something else, I'm of course keeping Cinch because right now, like I said, I had a really good head start. So I do have money within Cinch to keep that chugging along on its own. So I'm not depending on YouTube to be doing good at this point to keep Cinch up and floating, let's just say. But yeah, I would love to have a future where I am doing social media, Cinch, and maybe even something more, something else, as like, I would love to do more than one thing, because I'm the kind of person, what kind of brush do I want to use under my eyes? I think I'm going to use the EO4, I'm going to do the yellow. I'm the kind of person that I love being busy and I love having a diverse work schedule. I love doing different things. And that's one of the reasons why I started Cinch, not only because I was like having a vision of bringing stuff to the market that I've been wanting, but also because I knew that I thrive on change. I love change. And I also thrive on having a very diverse work schedule and being able to do different things throughout the week, like filming, editing, packing orders, product development. And I would love to maybe work for a brand as well with marketing, or maybe just reading up on some marketing. Or I also loved, I've been at university for a really long time. I've read a lot of stuff that's not part of environmental science as well when I was trying to figure out exactly what I wanted to be. And I was reading micro and macroeconomics at the university level, and I thought that was super fascinating as well. And part of me is like, maybe that could be fun, because having a deeper understanding of the financial market also is intriguing to me. Knowledge is intriguing to me, and I don't really know what I want to do. And I also don't know, like, you know, I keep saying now, like, oh, I would like to go back to school, and I'm like, maybe I won't, because maybe something else will show up that I'm like, no, I want to do this instead. But I will say, just thought of me starting to think, so what is plan B? I'm using the earthbending, this green one here. Just me starting to think, oh wait, this isn't the end goal, because YouTube was never, this is where I'm gonna be for the rest of my life. I know a lot of people start their social media journey hoping that one day this is gonna be their full-time job, that they're gonna be able to make this into their career and stuff like that. And that was never the goal for me. My goal was never to make YouTube my full-time job. And now that I have it as my full-time job, I am really enjoying it and I'm having a blast. I'm having so much fun. But I'm also fully aware that this isn't the end station. This isn't where I am gonna end up. This isn't what I am gonna do for the rest of my life. I don't know. It's not like, I feel like, it's not that I'm like, oh, now YouTube is my full-time job and now I'm like, I'm set, I'm done. I'm not looking towards the future, because that's not me. I am fully aware that I am in such a volatile business, and this is only my job right now. And I'm totally fine with that, because again, I thrive on change and I am very excited to see, like, where am I gonna be in 10 years? What country am I gonna be in? How many pets am I gonna have? What am I gonna be working with? What are my hobbies gonna be like then? Like, all of these things. And thankfully, my husband is the same. Dog is dreaming next to me. My husband is the same, and he is also like just very open to change. And we were actually having this discussion. We were going to dinner the other day. Again, if you watch my vlog, you would have seen we went to this Peruvian place. Ugh, such good food, and actually really affordable. And we were going to this Peruvian place and we were sitting down eating, and we were talking about, what are we gonna do after Texas? And like, what are our options? Where would you like to end up? And like all of these things. And it was just an exciting discussion to have, because at the end of the day, I feel like I'm getting a little bit of it, like you can see I'm going back and forth. I feel like I'm getting a little bit of an almost brown, muddy edge here. Let me see if I can blend that away. It could be that the undertones of these two shadows are so different that they're not wanting to really mesh. But we were just discussing, like, where would we want to end up? Do we want to go to Europe? Do we want to stay in the US? I don't think we want to stay in the US. There is one place where Ricardo is like, if I'm able to go to that place, we'll stay. If not, we're going back to Europe. And it's like, where in Europe do we want to be? Do we want to be in Sweden? Do we want to be like, there's so many options. And also he's like, there is the option to go to Asia, but I think both of us are like, that's a little too far away and a little bit too, because it's very easy to fly between Europe and North America. It's not as easy, at least not last time I checked, and not as affordable to fly in the other direction. So I think that that might mess up even more, like, you know, hanging out with family. And I mean, our parents are not getting younger, so we're like, maybe Asia is just a little bit too inconvenient. But just the fact that we are like open to having those discussions and like, where do we want to go and where do we want to work. And I was even sharing my like, because Ricardo was like, so when you were younger, what did you want? And I told him that when I was in high school, this isn't like a kid, but when I was in high school, my dream was to open a coffee shop with like Swedish like pastries and cookies and bake them myself and have just this really chill little coffee shop with like Swedish buns and pastries. And he's like, well, that's not totally out of reach. And I'm like, that is true. Depending on where we move next. Maybe I'll be the Swedish coffee shop, Angie. Maybe. Okay, I'm not gonna pretend that this was effortless or that this blend is like particularly perfect or non-patchy. I actually will say, okay, this is what I will say. There's probably a reason why the yellow is over here and the green is over here. Normally greens and yellows go really well together, but I think there is a little bit of a cooler tone undertone in this one that makes them not super easy to blend together. So just keep that in mind if you're also playing with this palette, that if you are gonna do like I did, the green with the yellow, just know that it takes a little bit more effort. I'm gonna put the green shimmer all over my lid and just hope for the best. So am I making this video because I'm like, I'm leaving YouTube? No, I'm not. I'm definitely staying around. I'm definitely gonna be continuing uploading as I normally have, but I will say, if this continues, where YouTube quite literally cuts down my AdSense by 30%, even though I'm bringing in the same amount of views and watch time, will I be putting less effort into creating that extra YouTube video? Probably, because like at the end of the day, we're all trying to be smart with our time. And if you are like bending over backwards to put up that extra video because you're thinking, oh, this might be, you know, a little extra money saved, or this might be like the money that I go on vacation with, or anything like that, and that no longer is true, you no longer can like, you know, work harder and get paid more on YouTube. At least not if you are a like mid-sized creator that I am. I mean, some would even say that I'm a smaller creator, because a lot of people that are like really big creators, they probably have not had a loss in YouTube revenue because of the ads that are being showed. The good ones, the good ads, they always go to the big creators first. So they will be the last to notice when anything's going down, because they're still getting the good ads. There's just not enough good ads to be shared with the rest of us. So if you see any of your favorite creators maybe branching out, trying something else, doing live streams, starting with Twitch, or doing more TikToks, or maybe I don't know what people are doing, know that it could be because they have also noticed that, wow, AdSense is really down, and even though I'm getting a lot of views in, that's not showing on my AdSense the way that it usually does. And like me, I'm guessing there are more people out there that are depending on AdSense and prefer to not take too many sponsorships, because I don't want brands to decide for me. I don't want brands to be the reason I can pay my rent. I want to be able to pay my rent with like the work that I do, the views that I'm getting in. I don't want to be depending on brands to pay my rent. And I also don't want to be depending on like affiliate things, because that means that I have to sell you more products to be able to pay my rent. And that doesn't sit right with me and the way that I like to recommend products, and the way that I like to talk about products. Like, if there is a full month where there is literally not a single good release and I don't want to recommend anything to you, I want to know that I'm still able to pay rent. I don't want to have to be like halfway through the month, oh, I have to pretend to love something, otherwise I won't be able to pay rent. I don't want that either, and I don't think that that's the way that it is for people either. I'm just saying how I would feel. I can only talk from my own experience. I can't like read people's minds, so I don't know how other people are thinking. But yeah, I'm grateful that I have Sinch, so that I can at least put more effort into doing fun things with Sinch, and maybe like in a year, maybe in 2024, I will be able to have like Sinch. Who knows, if Sinch is doing like really well, or at least doing like okay, maybe that could give me a little extra income as like a little side hustle. Maybe that could be fun. Or maybe I go back to school, or maybe I get another job as well, because I will say sometimes I do miss having coworkers a lot. I miss having coworkers a lot because I used to have a lot of fun with my coworkers. Oh, I smudged my mascara. You little clumsy. So yeah, I don't know. I'm keeping my eyes open, and I'm also not freaking out about this. And I think the main reason why I'm not freaking out about this, seeing AdSense go down, is that I really liked my old job. If this ends up being me having to go back to my old job, that's okay. I like my old job. I wouldn't be able to work with that in I wouldn't be able to work with that in the US, but I would be able to work with it in other countries in the EU, because my job that I was doing for 8 years before I did this full time was working with EU legislation, and I don't know the US legislation, so I would be very comfortable going back working with that again. I was actually really enjoying my job, and I was really good at my job. First and foremost, I was good at my job. Like I was like good at what I did. I had a lot of knowledge, and I wouldn't mind doing that either if I had to like find something to do. And I have a really good resume as well, and I have good you call them like referrals? So like, what do you call them? I don't know what it's called in English, but like people that I would be able to put on my resume that definitely would agree, yes, Angelica is good at her job. So I'm not super worried. I'm not panicking. This whole thing though, with how things are going with the economy and with the world and with AdSense, it's all like just spilling down, you know? Everything just trickles down, and all of a sudden it's like hitting you and affecting you. And it doesn't make me panic, but it does make me think, okay, so what is my plan? And it's always good to have a plan. And even though you might think, oh, I don't need a plan because I'm so happy where I am right now, it doesn't hurt to have a plan anyways. What would you do if something were to change? Like, are you like in the place that you would like to be for the rest of your life? Or would you be at a situation or at an age where you be like wanting and open to try something else? Because like I definitely don't think myself that I will be, and this is just me guessing, maybe I'm wrong, but this is just me based on how I feel about things. I don't think I'm gonna be a person that's doing YouTube while I'm 50. I might be, but will I still be thinking it's fun? Maybe I will. I don't know. Maybe I'll have a coffee shop in the Mediterranean serving Swedish semlor and kanelbullar. I hope this video was somewhat interesting to you, just hearing me talk a little bit about like what the future holds and like what will be the next step in my life. And maybe it got you thinking as well, like, are you where you want to be for the rest of your life? Are you doing what you're going to be doing until you retire? Sometimes there are big pivots that we can do, and sometimes there are small pivots that we can do of just like, what do we want to do next? Like, what's the next step? And I'm always planning ahead, always thinking about like, well, what would I like to do when I'm not doing this anymore? And just this recent huge drop in AdSense just reignited my thought that I've had, that is that I'm not doing this for the rest of my life. So what do I want to do when I'm not doing this anymore? Because I'm, like I said, I'm not panicking. I liked my old job. I have to work with that again. That's totally fine. I've been a waitress. I liked being a waitress. The only problem with waitressing for me is that it's not very well paid, and I don't like working evenings because I'm a morning person, but maybe I can go back to working breakfasts. That always is nice as well. I'm not afraid of working. I'm just a person that likes to have a plan because I don't like being surprised with bad news without having like, so what's my exit strategy? What am I going to do next? So I don't think that I will ever be the person that has 2 full-time jobs again, because I did YouTube full-time and I also did my other job full-time. I don't see myself doing that again. And I'm not saying this for anyone to take pity in any YouTuber. Like, we chose to do this. We chose to have this very uncertain job. And even though I don't think that this is like my long-term career for the rest of my life, and I definitely have options of other things I could be doing, I just wanted to share what could be a reason why you're seeing some of your favorite creators, if they're not super huge creators, because they're probably not seeing this at all, why they're maybe pivoting, trying other things, maybe uploading less, maybe uploading more. What do I know? What different strategies people might be having. It might be that they're also seeing the effects of what's going on behind the scenes. But yeah, I hope you're having an absolutely amazing day. I would love to see you again, so don't forget to subscribe, and I will have a video either tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, so I will see you then. Bye!